I guess I brought my black ass in here to do the show tonight.
Hey.
I'm on the radio. No, I'm not on the radio. Damn, I'm on the podcast, man. This is so confusing. Oftentimes it's so confusing. But again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us here, the Don Miller Show. Man, we've been doing this a long time, Phil.
We have. It's been several years.
Shout out to Phil, the podcast doctor. That's my guy, Jeff, man. Thank you, Jeff. Listen, laugh, and learn, crew. We are here tonight, the Don Miller Show. Hey, PJ, what's happening, man? Shout out to my boy Sparky352. He's somewhere out here making that money. Got a lot to get to tonight. I want to start out, of course, by saying, as Phil and D'Amica and everybody tells me all the time, subscribe and like. Hit the subscribe button. There you go. Hit that button, subscribe and like. And so I'm learning podcasts. I've been doing it long enough. I should know. But, I was reluctant to even come into this environment for a minute. But now I'm here. The best guy in the world, the podcast doctor, is running the show. There's nobody better in all his shit work. Thank you so much. Again, hey, Adley, how are you? To all our friends in the Panhandle, thank you so much for following the show, following us on radio, of course, and on this Don Miller Show podcast. I want to get out of the gate. The other day, the CEO, Brian Thompson of United Health, a very large corporation, one of the biggest, I'm sure, was assassinated in Manhattan as he walked from his hotel. Blatant murder on the street. Now the authorities are saying that the bullets had words written on them that alludes to some policy or something related to the insurance industry. We want to keep that guy's family in our prayers and pray for his wife. And he got some kids at the house. And I just want to ask the question, you got 50-some thousand, maybe more employees. You making $10, $15 million a year. You run a giant-ass company. Why you ain't got your security with you?
For real.
Now, I'm just going to be honest. There were hundreds of protesters just showed up in Minnesota last year or this year at the headquarters of United Health. These crazy-ass people show up and they protest. Crazy whites. I'm going to just say it. I say it on the radio. Some crazy-ass white people ain't got nothing better to do than protest at its office, United Health. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a problem here. I'm feeling some kind of way because as soon as this happened, another major healthcare company, Blue Cross Blue Shield, had announced a policy 2 weeks ago, and they just went back on that policy, man. They just said, no, we good. We're going to go in a different direction. They had a cap on anesthesia numbers, the amounts of money spent on anesthesia for surgeries. Well, breaking news today, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Anthem Health said, no, we just playing. Okay, we're going to get rid of any cap. The fact of the matter is this is a tragedy. It ain't funny. But I'm going to just say this, and y'all can take this the way y'all want to take this. Empathy is not in your... I don't know how to feel about it, man. These people have been gouging people for a long-ass time. They've been gouging people. People have been losing people they love because the insurance company's been playing this game. And now somebody jump out there and do something ridiculous. Hope they catch this guy and give him the business. But I'm just telling you, man, people feeling some kind of way, man.
I got in a fight with my wife about this last night. Because she was like, oh, that shouldn't have happened. I was like, yeah, I agree. But the insurance companies, that sent the message.
Huh?
That sent the message
I'm
to all the
telling you,
insurance companies.
Anthem Blue Cross today announced that what they announced last week was no longer going to happen. They're not going to cap it. The fact is, how long can the people be gouged, man? People are tired of being gouged. So for this gentleman who lost his life because he didn't have one of his hundreds of security officers, I'm sure, with him that day, and knowing that his wife came out immediately and said there had been a significant amount of death threats. Listen, you threaten me once, I'm going to have somebody with me, and I'm going to have that thing on me. So you can run up on Don Miller if you want to, but I'm just telling you, I take it very serious. And for some of these people making 10, 15, 20 million a year who feel a lot of arrogance involved in this too. Let's be clear. I'm not saying this guy was arrogant. I'm just saying he wasn't real smart to walk down the street knowing that there were people out here, nut jobs, who had lost people, who had been cheated out of everything they had, that become nut jobs, because of this. Triggers are real, guys. I have known people who was decent, upstanding, but that trigger hit and they become somebody else. So again, my sympathies goes out to this guy's family, but y'all need to stop screwing over these people, man. They're tired of it. They're tired of it. Hey, Pat Robinson from Georgia. Listen, hey, Don and Phil, who said that? That was Tanya. That was the fragrance lady from the Baptist church. Okay, got to get to the point I wanted to have a conversation with Phil today. And to anybody who want to pop in, shout out to my friends over at Flex Auto, my boy Felix, my buddy. Thank you so much. And, of course, Robbie at the Vineyard Lake Mary. Scoot that up where we can see it, man. You got that over in the corner, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Robbie, man. Robbie's my brother, man. I had a great Thanksgiving evening with Robbie till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Got chastised because I was with Robbie and the Jones family. Shout out to the Jones family, man. I love you guys so much. And my friends over at Casa Leon Jewelers last night, what a time. Oh, my gosh. I love Renee and Yvette and, of course, their lovely, lovely daughter, who's like my sister, man. I love you all. Appreciate you so much. So listen, guys, I want to get to this. Joe Biden, the other day, gave a pardon to his son, Hunter Biden. Now, Hunter Biden is, I'm not going to be politically correct on this one. I will fail every point of being politically correct on this one. Hunter Biden's a crackhead, right? Because if the people I grew up and loved got addicted to crack, they were not drug abusers. They were called what, Phil? Crackhead. So this is a white, rich-ass crackhead whose daddy's power has enabled him to become even a worse POS. He's 50 years old, 50 plus, and he's out here smoking crack, and he's got gun charges and tax evasion charges. He's a POS. He had a baby by a stripper. Then they didn't want to claim the baby. And these people are low-level people. That baby did not bring itself into this world. And for them not to even want to acknowledge the baby until the media got involved, man, look, there's some whites, and then there's some whites. And these are the whites that the whites don't want nothing to do with, right? So Biden's son, who was up for sentencing next week and a half, gets pardoned. Not just a pardon, one of the most interesting pardons we've seen historically. Now, many people have gotten pardoned. The last time we saw a full unconditional pardon was when Gerald Ford pardoned Richard M. Nixon prior to him being indicted in Watergate in 1974. This guy's got a pardon going back to 14. No matter what he did, it could be the most egregious crime. He is officially pardoned from being prosecuted on anything in that time period. This is not okay with me. It's not okay with me because this is the same guy, Joe Biden, senator from Delaware, chairman of the Judiciary Committee for many years, who created legislative action that incarcerated poor black and white men and women at a record number, creating the prison industrial complex, creating the private prison industry. Crack versus powder, that was a Joe Biden legislative action. The numbers go look. I'm not making this up. People were swept off the street, incarcerated for the possession of tiny pieces of crack cocaine. Play that clip, Phil.
There's a second thing that we all have agreed upon, and that is unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing, because they literally, I yield myself 3 more minutes, because they literally have not been socialized.
Stop it right here. He's talking about his son. He's talking about his son. He's talking about his rich-ass crackhead son. Now play the next clip when he's talking about what's going to happen if you get caught with the very same substance. And watching the clip.
Oh, gosh. You really want me to play this?
Play this clip.
Okay.
If you have a piece of crack cocaine no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand, 1/4 of $1. We passed a law through the leadership of Senator Thurmond and myself and others, a law that says if you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation. You get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice. Under our forfeiture statutes, the government can, take everything you own.
Stop it right there. That's his son in a split screen getting high on crack cocaine. He filmed himself. I've known a lot of people. I've known a lot of people, guys. Shout out to Osiris. I've known a lot of people who got addicted to crack cocaine. My own sister, who was found dead in an alley behind my mama's house. I also saw that the war on drugs was essentially a war on people. And through this legislative action, through unfair sentencing guidelines, to trigger a minimum mandatory sentence in that era, to qualify for a mandatory sentence, you needed 5 grams of crack cocaine to trigger a minimum 5-year sentence in prison. You had to have 500 grams of powder to trigger the same min-man sentence. Who had crack and who had powder? This is the guy who wrote the legislation. This is the guy who continued to push such legislation, who called people who lived in many of these urban communities animals, predators. We knew who he was talking about. And it is really shameful when I see any black person, any of you ignorant ass Negroes who are cheering this guy on for giving his son a pardon for the very reason the black community was devastated. They didn't lock up the distributor in record number. They locked up the user in that era. Thousands and thousands of black men and women and poor whites were sent to prison for the use of crack cocaine, for the possession of 5 grams of crack, given min-man sentences of base 5 years. Not rehab. 100 to 1 crack versus powder. And only in 2010, Barack Obama, Barry Soetoro, decided to change it, and he still did no justice to the people by making it 18 to 1. It's still not fair. So you pardon your son, you give him an unconditional pardon. The same pardon that Richard M. Nixon, who orchestrated the Watergate break-ins, got by Gerald Ford. And black people are cheering this dude on because this rich-ass white dope fiend piece of shit gets a shot because his daddy is rich. I had a friend, Michael, rest in peace, Mike, who worked at IBM, had a great job. And I've told this story on the show on many occasions. Meets a girl, wants to go party. He starts partying with this girl he met at his job. She's like, hey, I got this, I want you to try. And he tells me this story, and he tries this crack cocaine, Phil. Remember they used to say, all you got to do is hit it one time, right?
That's right.
And he tries crack cocaine, and he loses his job. And the education that he had, Morehouse grad and Northwestern University MBA, Kellogg School, none of that mattered because my friend who did everything right at that moment tried crack cocaine. And it all went south. And his life was ruined. And there were no programs, and nobody was trying to save Michael. And Michael became a crackhead, crack addict. And finally, on the third strike bill, same legislative action by Joe Biden, who you Negroes are running up behind, Michael found himself in an A&P grocery store stealing some food to eat. Stealing some food to eat. He found himself arrested and charged with his third strike. And he was sent off to Stateville Correctional Facility for 16 years.
Wow.
And every crime he committed was adjacent to his addiction. And now we think it's okay for this dude, because his son has been covered by the governmental security agency, the Secret Service, and as not to embarrass his dad, he's been buying good dope. His dope been checked before he smoke his dope. But our loved ones that we saw crash and burn, the devastation that crack cocaine had on the black community, there has been nothing like it ever before. And for any Negro who grew up in that era to get behind and stand and clap for this rich-ass white piece of shit, Hunter Biden, to get a no-look pass, I find it appalling. And I shout out all those Democrats who reached out to me from Capitol Hill the last few days, who also find it appalling. But to them, I say this. You knew Joe Biden was a liar. His history was that. And when he said that he would not pardon his son, wait a minute, I got a clip.
Presidential promise to put the law before family.
I said I abide by the jury decision. I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Letting the world know that he will not wipe away the decision of 12 of his son's peers.
Was asked directly, and he has said he wouldn't pardon his son if he gets convicted.
Let's wait and see what happens if he loses.
Yeah, but he said it.
He's going to get pardoned by his dad. There's no question about that.
The president has ruled out pardoning his son.
Major commitment from the president, accepting the outcome of the trial and also pledging not to pardon his son.
So the challenge for him is really to continue to live up to his values when it was really personal, and he did that today.
It seems like a pretty normal, straightforward answer, but it takes new weight when we see what Trump is saying about the outcome of his trial, what we're hearing from other Republicans who say they don't accept the jury's verdict here in New York.
The contrast is profound. To sit there and say, well, I'm not going to intervene in the legal process, and I wouldn't pardon my son. One side, Democrats and Joe Biden protecting the justice system. And on the other, Republicans and Trump protecting Trump.
A current president.
Stop it right there. Stop it right there.
That's a 9-minute video of all of that. I think you sent me that earlier today or yesterday, and I'm going to say that is the best video I've seen all year.
Can I just say this, guys? What the hell are we doing? This guy went to the microphone as the president of the United States of America and said, first of all, they told us that the whole Hunter Biden crack story was made up by the Russians till Hunter lost his laptop. And then he filmed himself. I knew a lot of crackheads in my life. And if some of them are still with us, they figured it out and got some help. I ain't never knew a crackhead to film themselves. You got to be a different kind of fool to film yourself while you on crack, right? Mm-hmm. And with some prostitutes in the bed. But this guy's level of arrogance, because his daddy was the president. And there were people paying him millions of dollars a month because his daddy was the president. He had no visible, what was his job? His daddy was the president. And then I'm watching these black people, man, some of y'all, man, I'm so ashamed of some of you Negroes, man. Don't just get away from me. I was there in the 80s. I saw my sister doing amazing, beautiful young lady. Meet this guy. And when I buried her, I didn't even recognize her. So y'all can kiss my ass on this one. The legislative action set forth by this guy, the senator from Delaware, who was mentored by the racist statesman from West Virginia, Robert Byrd, the Grand Cyclops of the Knights of the Ku Klux KK, call him what you want. He was also mentored by Jim Stennis, the racist segregationist from the state of Mississippi. And oh yeah, did I mention Strom Thurmond? This guy was never the friend of black folks. His legislative action told us that. And now, Karma, who's so strong and so overwhelming, the rich-ass white boy ends up getting addicted to the drug that he used to devastate a community. Now, we got to be clear about this. Crack cocaine was a device before it was a drug. It was dropped off in many of these urban communities by a governmental entity. There's a wonderful book that I want you to go read, if you can find it. Put this on the screen. Dark Alliance by Gary Webb. Gary Webb was a great journalist with the San Jose Mercury News. He was an investigative reporter who dug really deep in investigating crack cocaine as it hit and devastated parts of California, Compton, Oakland, and of course, at that point, it continued to spread all over the country. So if you can find that book, it's on Amazon. Put that back up. I want people to read, man. We're a reading show here. Dark Alliance by Gary Webb, the CIA, the Contras, and the crack cocaine explosion. It's a wonderful read. So I want to get back to the fact that all of a sudden, right, we heard Joe Biden, 9-minute clip, right?
9 minutes.
Everybody said, oh, we're not like those Republicans. We believe in the rule of law. He's not going to pardon his own son. And I'm saying to myself, you lie. And when did we start believing politicians, especially those whose history of lying is at the rate that Joe Biden's is? Joe Biden got some lies out here that are just different kind of lies. Just some different kind of lies. He made up a black friend named Corn Pop that nobody ever heard of. He had a friend named Corn Pop, tough guy. Ain't nobody named no damn Corn Pop. But he made up lies his entire political career, and he continued to get elevated. Play that clip.
I was sort of raised in the Puerto Rican community. I had a very close relationship with the Greek American community, for real. I am Joe Bidenopoulos. I grew up in a heavily Irish Catholic community in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and a heavily Italian Polish community. When I say I got raised in the black church, he knows I'm not kidding. The Persian culture is amazing. As a student of the Persian culture, I probably went to shul more than many of you. I come out of the black community. The background of my family is Irish American, not fundamentally unlike the Palestinian people. I was raised on GM. I was raised by Danny Inouye. I was raised by a righteous Christian. I got raised on automobiles.
Thank you, man. Stop it. Put the number up. I want to talk to somebody tonight, because how can we believe anything this guy says? And any of you clowns who believed him and voted for him, knowing his history, just shut up.
I think Pap just tried to call. I missed it.
Just shut up, man. 352-717-4071. One thing about this show, I like to take calls, man, because some of this nonsense, I don't get it. I have no idea how anybody thought that this dude wouldn't pardon his son. You know he was going to pardon his son. But now he is on a mission to destroy the Democratic Party. This is bigger than this. You remember I told you this, okay? He's going to pardon some other people, probably his whole family. The whole family's going to get pardoned. Now, I don't know if they will get the pardons that his son got.
There's like a partial pardon?
Yeah, there's some caveats in every pardon, but this kid got an unconditional, not a kid, grown-ass, bitch-ass man. He got an unconditional, no matter what he's done, pardon.
We got a phone call here.
Let's go to the phone lines. Hey, you on the Don Miller Show. What's your name? Where are you joining us from? Hello?
Uh-oh. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Pap, call right back. I think it's Pap.
Oh, thank you so much again. Hey, subscribe and like. Follow us on all the platforms. I was going to have a guest, but I didn't want to burden you with this guest intellectual position on these issues. I'm just telling you, because this is my last political show in a minute.
There we go.
I'm just tired of people just let it go. Acknowledge.
There we go.
We got a call from a correctional facility.
Sorry, you're live on the air. Who's this?
Hey, this is Pap
There
from
we go.
Floral, Alabama.
Hey, Pap from Alabama. How you doing, man?
Well, I do it fairly well. I survived this first part of the holidays.
Yeah.
And did all right.
Yeah.
And, man, I'll call you back, man. You know, last time I spoke with you, you wanted me to listen to a video.
Oh, God, the WAP.
WAP.
Yeah. Cardi B.
No.
Cardi
Lord
B.
have mercy.
Pap is a white gentleman in Lower Alabama, and he didn't know who Cardi B was. I suggested he go listen to WAP. What do you think of WAP? WAP.
Well, if I was a real young man, hey, buddy, yeah, she was all right. That's a pretty girl, though. She'd make a good stripper, I tell you.
She was one.
She was a stripper.
Oh, she was? Oh, mercy sakes alive. Yeah, that was culture shock now. But you had...
Go ahead, Pap. You still there?
He hung up.
All right, thanks, Pap.
He hung up.
But again, these listeners, man, I love them. Give us a call, 352-717-4071. You know, I want to talk about pardons because somebody was asking me about pardons the other day. And I'm going to go over the pardon list in the last 20 years, pretty much 25 years. W. Bush pardoned 200 people. Barack Obama pardoned 1,927. That's in 2 terms. Trump, 237. Bill Clinton, 459. Jimmy Carter pardoned 566, but that doesn't account for the 200,000+ Vietnam veterans or people who evaded the draft during the Vietnam era, draft dodgers, or what they were called at that time.
Well, you don't have a cap, or how many?
They were all pardoned. And then Truman, 2,000+, Woodrow Wilson, 2,000+, FDR, 3,600, and Nixon, 926. Nixon also pardoned Jimmy Hoffa for tax evasion, but that had significant caveats in that pardon. So the pardoning someone that's something, we're not new to this. But when you get a blanket pardon, there's a list of tyrant liberal idiots he's going to pardon: Fauci, Adam Schiff, and others. We'll see what happens, Jeff. We'll see how that goes. I just think that what we saw with and there are people sent me messages already. Don Miller, would you pardon your own son? And I'm going to tell you straight up. If my son was 50 years old, behaving like this guy's son, videotaping himself, smoking crack, spending millions of dollars on drugs, millions, he admits it, millions of dollars, prostitutes, I would want to save my son. So if I was the most powerful guy in the world and I knew he was in line to be sentenced, I would at least try to pull the DOJ aside and say, hey, do me a favor. Just give him 1.5 years. Not to pay the price for what he's done as much as to get him clean. Hunter's really getting ready to bow up. Okay? You just gave him a hell of a... What? He going hard in the paint. There's nothing you could do to somebody with that level of addiction than to give them a clear sign. Clear!
Right? That's going to help.
Okay? That's what I'm saying. So if that was my son with these type of issues, I probably would want him gone somewhere for at least 1 year, 16 months. Yes, I can tell you that. And people who know me will tell you I'm not making that up. I want to love my child longer and save my child. I actually think that this is another level of enabling an addict.
That is.
Right?
It's not another level. It just is.
Yeah. You know? So if this guy is the addict that he's shown us through videotape, not that we heard, we didn't hear Hunter was an addict. We saw Hunter smoking crack. We watched and heard all of this during this trial. Hunter also, watch this, and didn't want to do this on the show, his brother Bo, who passed away, who served our country, thank you for your service. Rest in peace, my friend. As soon as Bo died, guess what Hunter did?
What?
He had sex with his wife.
What?
But he bowed up with Bo's wife.
Damn, he went for that sympathy pussy.
Dude, listen to me. This is trash. This guy had sex with his dead brother's wife, as the old people used to say, directly after his brother died. That right there in most families you definitely ain't getting no pardon. When you cross the line like that, and it's amazing to me how Joe Biden talks about his love for that son who did everything right, who died of a tragic disease. And this son goes and sleeps with his wife, the widow, and then you double back and you pardon this piece of shit who would have embarrassed most common families. Can't come to my house after that. It is unfortunate that this level of power exists and is in the hands of people who don't do the right thing. But we know who Joe Biden is, guys. Joe Biden is socking it to the Democratic Party. This is he couldn't wait to do this. Do it on the last day, on your way out the door, and drop the mic. No, he's like, I'm doing this now before this kid goes to trial next week and is remanded to the Federal Bureau of Prisons. He didn't even want him to spend a month. He didn't even want to scare him. Even if they sentenced him next week, they're probably going to say, you got 3 months to get everything in order to turn yourself in. Not one night? Not one night, Phil? Even if they sentenced him next week, give him 3 years on both charges, whatever. Turn yourself in April 1st. Man, be a dad, man. Let him go to jail. Let him see how there are people in here who made mistakes and they're really doing time. You took this bitch-ass, soft-ass son of yours who done stole money from the American people that you've covered for, and you tell him, it's okay, son. Don't worry about it. You're only 50 with a 2-year-old by a stripper. I'm sorry. I take things like this really to heart because you lied to the American people. Let's just say that. Can at least the president of the United States have just a guy who tells the truth? Can we get one of those? No, probably not. That probably ain't the job I'm looking for. Maybe a pastor.
We have concepts of truth.
But this guy told everybody he wasn't going to pardon his son. And everybody who got any sense, except for them goofball-ass woke whites, man, I can't stand a woke white, man. I'm so over woke white people. Look, if you're a woke white in your heart, don't speak to me. Just stand down. I don't need your friendship. I don't need you to dap me up. Just stand down if you're a woke white. Because woke whites, they're a major problem in this society. And this lady who told me, well, he was supposed to pardon his son. That's what a great parent would do. No, not really. I think what you see as a great parent, let me explain something to you as a young black man who didn't have a daddy at the house who got my ass tore up. I got my ass whooped. There was never a moment when she was like, you know what? I'm going to let you get away with that. My life was about lessons, Phil. You cross the line, this is what happens. Right?
Yep.
I would tell the story. I was 10 years old, maybe 11. I went to A&P with my friend, Bobby. And my mom was at work. And he stole some bread and some cookies. And I stole some salami and some bologna. And we stole it and we left. And my dumb ass take the salami and the bologna home and put it in the refrigerator. My mama come home. She like, where did this come from? Where did this come from? A&P. Oh, you got somebody buy some salami and some bologna? No, ma'am. Well, where'd you get it from? Sit down. Boom. Of course I stole it. You know what she did, Phil? She put that salami and that bologna in that bag and marched my black ass right up to A&P and asked for the manager. She said, this is my son, and he stole this. He did not pay for this. And the white dude was like, huh? Like, huh, ma'am, pardon? He didn't pay for this. This is my son, and I just want to bring this to you because he didn't pay for this. And the guy was like, oh, my God, ma'am, I don't know. Okay, ma'am. She's like, whatever you want to do about it, if you need to call the police, you can call the police, but he didn't pay for this. The white dude was like, ma'am, you a good mom. you want to keep the bologna in the salami? She said, no, I pay for everything we get. I work every day. And he said, well, thank you, ma'am, no problem. And she told me, come on. And I went on back down the street. We walked 4 blocks from 35th and Giles all the way down to 31st and Giles. And we go in the house. And she said, go ahead and get ready to take your bath. And I went on up in the room, and I knew it was coming. I got my black ass in that bathtub naked, and that door swang open. You ever had a naked whooping? Boy, she told my ass, up! And I realized at that moment, stealing ain't the way. Stealing wasn't the way, man. But I also understood that there were some people out here who believed in doing the right thing. We can't support people who find it okay to engage in ridiculous-ass behavior because the outcome is always going to end terrible, guys. She marched me 4 blocks. We ain't had no car. We walked 4 blocks. Asked for the manager. The lady say the manager's busy. All right, well, I'll wait.
Wow.
I'll wait for him. Finally, the dude came over like, hey, how can I help you? And she introduced herself. She was a proud woman, man. And I was wrong as hell.
Did your mom make you used to pick out your switches?
But come on, man. You know I picked out switches.
Yep.
And
Okay.
to tell your ass up. Don't come back with a little switch either.
Okay, good.
The point I make is accountability, man, does not exist at the level in which it did when we were growing up. This is a 50-year-old man whose daddy just let him walk free. But I think his daddy let him walk free because his daddy is involved in some stuff. For him to pardon him at this level, why? Your son's not well, sir. Your son's an addict. Your son is suffering from the same disease that the hundreds of thousands of poor blacks and poor whites you incarcerated when you were in charge of writing policy, crack versus powder, 100-to-1, crack versus powder. You were in charge of all of these mandatory sentence guidelines that you and your staff wrote in the 47 years in which you sat in the United States Senate.
47?
47 years. And he was a tyrant when it comes to crime bills. And the crime bills, there was never a war on drugs. There was a war on people. Go look. We got the same drug problems we had then. So how was there a war on drugs? Well, we didn't win it, apparently, because it was never a war on drugs. It was a war on people. It was a buildup of the prison industrial complex. Private prisons sprouted out of bullshit arrest. Private prisons thrived, and people became rich and very wealthy based on bullshit arrests, bogus sentencing guidelines, unfair prosecution. Let's be clear, guys. At the forefront of this was the guy you all feeling sorry for. I would never feel sorry for Joe Biden. I would never feel sorry for anybody who engaged historically with racist-ass, anti-Negro people like Strom Thurmond, like Robert Byrd, and of course like Senator Stennis from the great state of Mississippi. Anybody want to talk to me, man? Thank you so much, Steve, man. It's draining when I watch this, and what was amazed to me, I knew the guy was going to pardon the weirdo, right? But the level of pardon, the blanket pardon that he gave him was so ridiculous that I just couldn't believe that he would be this blatant. But when you're it's lame duck at a high level, and it's lame duck with a guy who feel like they took a shot at him, so he's going to take a shot. This guy, his mission, and I know they're panicking, is to ruin the party on his way out because of what they did to him. Now, I don't know how I would feel if I'd have been handled like that, but I can tell you their Democrats right now are just wishing this guy that he could go away fast, because he is going to punch this party a few more times before he's out of there because of what they did to him. And this pardon is definitely going to put the Democrats in a position where they can't even open their mouths when Trump gets in office and whatever he does. Would you agree with that, Phil?
Right.
Okay, so y'all just shut up about the January 6th, people, because that's coming down the pipes. Okay, so just don't even talk about it.
So I got a question. When it comes to pardoning, do they always wait till their term is over?
Oftentimes, there are significant pardons at the end of the term. Oftentimes, more often than not. And when you look at the way this was done, he could have actually waited. The problem is, had his son been sentenced next week, it was at the discretion of the federal judge to remand him to custody immediately or give him time to get his business dealings in order. The problem is he was out on probation the whole time, so there's probably no need to allow him to get his business dealings in order. So he would have probably been remanded immediately to the custody of the Federal Bureau of Prisons.
We got a call.
Let's go listen.
You're live on the air.
Hello, Don Miller.
Hello.
Shannon Burke calling.
This is my guy. SB, man. Listen, guys, if you don't know who Shannon Burke is, go check out Shannon Burke. You just Google him. He's one of the greatest Talkers 100, one of the best talk radio hosts in the history of this country. He is a guy who took me in and gave me great vision, and I just miss you, man. What's up?
I'm doing well. I'm just catching your show about Pardon Gate, I think you could call it. Just wanted to chime in. I think maybe this was always in the plan. Obviously, they said we'll go public with we're not going to do it, but it's always on the table. But what troubles me more than Hunter's pardon is these preemptive pardons that, just to issue them because they're afraid of Trump. They're afraid of Kash Patel. Is that the new normal? It's the new normal. We take office. We do it. We launder money. We do this. We feed our private. We enrich our family members, and then right before we're out of office, we just do blanket pardons at the door. Grab yours on your way out, and you're covered.
But Shannon, think about this. You and I have talked about this before, of course. These people were criminals. This family had 100+ LLCs where they ran couple of $100 million through these LLCs coming out of places like the Ukraine and China, correct?
Right. Yeah. Plenty of grandkids had LLCs.
Wow. So now they got Kash Patel headed over to lead the FBI, a guy who has balls, who is going to make a conversation out of this. And so now they're panicking. So do you expect to see, as I do, a whole bunch of pardons for everybody in this family?
I mean, the troubling part is if you know you committed a crime, you may like have a pardon, but if you don't accept it, if you do accept it, then you have no more Fifth Amendment. You can't plead the Fifth about those crimes. But if you do accept it, but if you don't accept it, it's not real. It doesn't really happen. These people have yet to accept them. He set the precedent. First of all, he set the precedent with Hunter. Pardoning him, he set the precedent to release every Jan 6 writer that's in jail right now.
Right.
Every single one of them.
Okay.
It's the moral thing to do. It's more moral than Biden pardoning his son.
Absolutely.
Would you agree?
I totally agree, 100%. And you know what else is interesting, Shannon? When you look at this, you just made a great point. Hunter Biden still can be subpoenaed to testify. And in this moment when he may be and hopefully subpoenaed, he can't take the Fifth because of this appeal.
Right. He must, if he is, and that's another question altogether. But let's say that that's what happened. And, there's three different. You've got oversight, Ways and Means, and judicial. All those committees have entered criminal, whatever you call it, documents, whatever, for him and his brother for lying to Congress. So he would have to come in front of be subpoenaed and come in front of one of these committees and agree. I mean, and lay out his crimes and acknowledge them. And yeah, you're right. I did that. Yeah, I sold influence. I did that. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. But should Trump focus on that, or just say, screw all this stuff from the past? Let's not dig up this old stuff and look like we're out for vengeance. Let's move forward. Let's get Elon and Vivek and all these and this cabinet together and storm forward before the midterm so we can hold on to our
But can
majority.
I tell you something, Shannon Burke? You know I love you, brother. Hell no. We need to know, okay? Hell no, we need to know. And I'm telling you why, because those bitch-ass Democrats would have came ugly at Donald Trump and anybody attached or adjacent to Donald Trump. No, if nothing, I don't care if anybody goes to jail. Let's expose them. Let's put it out there because
I'm with you.
Moving forward, I get it. I think President Trump's probably going to high road this one out and move forward. But I would like to see everybody exposed. I just want to see it, man.
I would like to see the acknowledgement and the detail. This is what I did. This is how I sold my dad's influence here. This is the money I took here. This is that. And so at least we have it documented because I think in history, the history will see that favorably as a country that's returning to its roots.
And I think I couldn't say what you just said any better. Hey, Shannon, tell everybody how they can check you out, man.
Florida Man Radio app, or if you're up in Fort Myers, 103.1 Florida Man Radio. But the Florida Man Radio app is a great way to do it. Or I have a Patreon at theshannonburkshow.com, which, by the way, I need to get you on, brother. So
I'm on. I'll text you tomorrow. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it, brother.
Hey, Shannon Burke, guys. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. That's my buddy right there.
You got it, brother.
Thank you. Hey, man, listen, man.
He's a legend.
Yeah, he's one of the greatest of all time. I can tell you that. And he just called his black friend to say hi. I love Shannon Burke, man. Shannon's solid. He has always been good to me. Gave me an hour of his show to introduce me to the audience a while ago before he went over to Florida Man. And I was on 4 hours prior to his 4-hour broadcast. Myself, Holly Holloman, Tamika Page. And we thank Shannon Burke all the time for inviting us in and giving us the opportunity. But before that, I was on between Shannon Burke and Alex Jones for a few years.
Man, what a sandwich.
Yeah, man. They stuck the black guy right in between Shannon Burke and Alex Jones at the Big 810. Remember that? And so that was a great, great run. And then I came in for Ed Till, who was my childhood talk radio favorite as a kid growing up in Chicago. Ed Till, who's still my friend. So let me just say this, man, real quick.
I knew Shannon from Real Radio.
I know. When he was the man.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because I'm watching this, and I just believe, and I know they said many people are saying President Trump is going to take the high road and just like let it go, and I respect that, but the level of arrogance that they've displayed with taking this money, with possibly putting us in a war. I think the Ukrainian situation has a lot to do with influence peddling. I really believe that. I believe this whole Burisma conversation, go Google it, read about it, Hunter Biden selling influence, making millions of dollars even though he had no idea what the hell he was doing, lying to the authorities. I think that I just want people to know, and even in the affidavits they allude to the big guy, and I just want to know who the big guy is. You know, nobody has to go to jail, but tell me who the big guy is so we'll know for history's sake.
What do you mean? I don't know. What
In these affidavits, Hunter Biden taking money, he and his uncle taking a lot of money from these foreign countries, China, Ukraine, and there's some text messages exposed, and Hunter would always allude to, he's got to run it by the big guy and talk to the big guy. But there were millions of dollars changing hands, and I just want to know who the big guy, let me know who the big guy is. Because if the big guy is who I think it is, we need to know that as the American people.
Wow.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, so I get it. President Trump might want to take the high road and kind of move on. I think I get that. I support that as well. But I just want to know who the big guy is. Tell me who the big guy is, because if my family was engaged in this kind of ridiculousness, look, I'm not a Barack Obama fan at all, not even a little. But if he had a black family, If Barry Soetoro had a black family and they was involved in this, all they black asses would be incarcerated right now. Every one of them. So all I'm saying is, just for the record, can we know who's who? Because I think, and I said this a few years ago on radio, 2024 is going to be a season of reveal, right? We're going to find out who's who. And we done figured it out. It's come to pass. We know Puffy was a perv, but we knew that in 22. You know, it's just, I think it's time for people to be called out. And so I'm going to do what I can do with this platform. Hopefully I can continue to build this platform. Subscribe and like. And I want to shout out all the people who support my show. Can you put them back up, man? I want everybody to see my friends, man.
You got some comments here.
Brad Bradley, yo, I caught you live. Hey, Brad Bradley. PJ, asshole parents raise asshole kids. True that.
All right.
Yep. I want to shout out these people who support me. Flex Auto, my boy Felix, man. Love you, bro. And the Vineyard. Can't say enough about my brother Rob. Rob is my brother. And my family over at Casa Leon Jewelers in beautiful Lake Mary, Florida. Go over there and mention my name, and they'll ask you to leave immediately.
Really?
No, not really. They'll embrace you.
Okay.
You're right, PJ. It needs to be exposed, man. I thought we were moving toward a season of exposure. The way they treated Donald Trump, and this ain't about Donald Trump's politics. Pause that. I want to look at that name.
Right.
This is not about Donald Trump's politics as much as when I'm talking to people in the hood, black folk, black guys, young black guys, and they like, man, Mr. Don, the way they coming at that, they ain't call him a white dude. They call him the name, what we call white people in the hood. The way they coming at him, Mr. Don, he must know something. And these are guys on the street saying this. They coming at him like they came at Shantavius. I'm like, yeah. And that's how they came at him. They threw everything at him but the kitchen sink, and he survived it. So now's the season of exposure. Put that back up. Let me see what that was.
All right.
Pam Bondi should appoint special prosecutors to investigate Russiagate, one of the Bidens, and one to
investigate the lawfare.
Yeah, I agree. But I think we don't need to go that deep. We know what's happened. We know how it happened. But I just think that American people need to know that this is, it was never fair. And I'll tell you what else was never right. If you thought for 1 minute that Vice President Harris was ever tied up in a race with Donald Trump, if you bought into that nonsense, that it's a tight race and she's winning in the battleground states, then you need to step away from politics for the rest of your damn life. There was never any chance of her winning. I said it on this show, Phil, yes or no?
Yep.
I said it on this show. I said it on the Don Miller Show on Florida Man Radio. I said it on networks across the country when they invited me. There was never a chance of her winning. But because of the media, because of the liberal media, had bought so heavily into this nonsense, they had an obligation to play the game. And this is why these polls ain't loyal. I don't know who sang that song. It was another song, say not polls, but
Chris Brown.
Chris Brown said these something ain't loyal, but these polls ain't loyal. And the level of manipulation that goes into, oftentimes goes into the media. We see it now. If you still trust the media, you a damn fool now, right? There was never a tight race. There was never a chance for her to win. This was a giant money grab. 100 days, almost $2 billion. Now you're $20 million in debt, and you didn't pick up any of the battleground states. As a matter of fact, if you look at the county map in America, they swept most of the counties in America. Outside of the major markets, they didn't win anything. So my point is this. You raise a bunch of money. You pay a bunch of entertainers. In the words of Malcolm X, entertainers aren't leaders. When are we going to learn that? Taylor Swift can't tell me a damn thing, nor can Beyonce or her husband. I don't want to hear from Eminem. I don't want to hear from the stripper, Cardi B, who tells us eloquently that she drugged men and robbed them. I don't want to hear from any of these people. I don't want to see Megan Thee Stallion shake her ass for cash. But whoever thought that this was a good idea, I definitely don't want to hear from Oprah Winfrey. But if you thought it was a good idea to spend this much money thinking that the American people are this dumb to be drawn to a vote by people like Al bitch-ass weirdo Sharpton, then shame on you. We are smarter than you think we are. I'm not a sheep. And I want everybody to take that and acknowledge that. We're not sheep. Stop treating us like sheep. And I'm telling you, there are a lot of people who had people thinking they were going to vote one way and went and voted another. People's like, well, you can't. I said it early on this show. You can't poll a Trump supporter because the average Trump supporter, especially if you ain't white or and live in certain regions of the country, you ain't going to tell nobody you supporting Trump anyway because you don't want to get, the negative pushback. Mm-hmm. So, no, you went in, you did your job, you voted for who you wanted to vote for, and you got up out of there. But I'm telling you, people, we need to wake up. We need to wake up. The clock is ticking. And I'm telling you, we are living in some great times now. Embrace them, be right about it, and continue to engage in the lively art of conversation. And subscribe and like. Subscribe and like. Follow me on all platforms. Don Miller Show on Facebook, Twitter, X rather. All of them. I need friends. I need some friends, man. I need more people to listen. I'm trying to do this. Next week's going to be an amazing conversation. We're going to shift away from politics. We're going to talk about some relationship stuff. I've been trying to get this on the radio because I know I got a lot of friends who are out here struggling with relationships. Ooh. I got a whole show about interracial relationships, Ooh. The ups and downs, what you shouldn't say, what you should say. So join me next Thursday right here at the Don Miller Show on YouTube. I'm talking about relationships. I got a real smart guest coming in, and we're going to drink and judge. Thank you so much, everybody. Love y'all.